Hello, and welcome to Rise Up and Heal, where healing begins the moment you choose yourself. I'm your host, Annie Neal, founder of Rise Up and Heal, author, speaker, and licensed You Can Heal Your Life practitioner. This podcast is dedicated to helping you remember your worth, reclaim your power, and reconnect with who you are beyond what you've been through. Today, I am super excited and absolutely delighted to be joined by Holly Lasky. Holly is the founder of Quantum Shift Coaching, Master Certified Hypnotherapist, High Performance and Leadership Coach, speaker, entrepreneur, and passionate advocate for personal transformation. For more than 30 years, Holly has been helping people release what is no longer serving them, reconnecting with their authentic selves, and creating lives aligned with their true purpose and potential. Through her work, Holly empowers individuals to move beyond limitations, embrace change, and create meaningful, lasting transformation. So, in today's conversation, we will be exploring Holly's journey, her work in personal development, and the powerful shifts that can help you heal when you choose to. So, if you're ready to be inspired and reminded of what's possible, you're in the right place. Holly, welcome to Rise Up and Heal. It is so wonderful to have you here.
Well, thank you so much. It's just a pleasure and a privilege to be here and a chance for us to chat and to share a little bit of my journey.
Yes, honestly, I'm very fortunate because I've been able to connect with you prior to our recording. So I am really looking forward to you sharing your story and how you have gotten to where you are today. So if you could please share your story, that would be wonderful.
Well, it's interesting. I came to coaching about 6, almost 7 years ago, and I came first as a client. And the reason I connected with the people I connected with, my first coaches and mentors, was because I had this one thing that kept coming back in my life over and over and over. And I did every conventional thing you can think of. I went to therapy. I talked to my pastor. I talked to trusted friends. I did everything, and it would be okay. It would be better for a little bit, and then it would come back, and it would kind of hit me in a different way, and I'd say, "Oh, that again." But it's almost funny to talk about it now because I grew up in a very abnormally normal home with very loving parents. Kind of the perfect. I have an older brother. We had 3 dogs, a great community that we were part of, great family, all of those things, and parents that believed in me and encouraged me.
Yeah.
I got into music when I was about 12. I've been a professional musician since I was 13, and have had kind of a varied career, everything from very classical to I've played in a rock and roll band and played in theater and done background vocals on stage and kind of all kinds of things, voiceover, studio work. And really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that. And I'm naturally an intuitive person, so I was always using those skills. And I have married an incredible man and had a great life, and we have a now 22-year-old. So there's all these really great things that have happened in my life, but underneath all of that were the things I was really struggling with. I didn't actually remember until I was about 19 that I had been molested as a kid, and it
Oh,
was somebody close to my family. And as when things happen and like that, we compartmentalize and we protect ourselves. So there were things that were kind of spilling out from that were connected to it, and I didn't even know. There were issues with health. There were how I dealt with people around me. um, my dating relationships, friendships, everything was affected by this, and I didn't even know it. And then when I began to understand what had happened, and it was like, well, then what? So I pursued all of these means to try to resolve it and couldn't resolve it. I resolved it for about that 2 seconds, and then, it was back.
Yeah.
So I saw a post that a friend of mine, somebody in my community, she's a coach and has her own coaching company, and she was posting some things, and I was like, huh, I haven't heard about that. I don't know what that is. I was looking up things and going, well, that sounds really interesting, and I reached out to her, and one thing led to another. We're both coffee girls, and we ended up having coffee. A week later, I met her business partner, and that was kind of the rest is history. I became their client first, and it was an incredible life-changing experience. My first two things that I dealt with them was being molested as a kid, and I also had debilitating stage fright, and it was kind of a wild experience to go from having to, like, with stage fright, I had all of these coping mechanisms in place and all these strategies and ways to get ready to perform because I love to perform. I just had to get ready to do it, and literally I did the release for it, and the next day I had to do a performance. I walked in, it was a completely different experience. I mean, there was no fear in the performance. There was no need for all of the elaborate machinations, that I'd gone through. And I thought, this is amazing. And then when I did the first release around what had happened to me as a kid, I remember just a huge sense of relief. This thing that had colored my entire life all of a sudden was neutral. It
That's good.
happened. It happened to me,
Yeah.
yeah. But this thing that happened to me in the past doesn't have to have power over me now, and it doesn't have to have power over my future. And that was really the beginning, because I thought, my goodness, everybody needs this work, this way of coaching, which is very unique because you're coaching the conscious and the unconscious mind. And this is what I didn't really consciously understand in the beginning. Is like 95% of your brain is conscious, 3 to 5%, 95 is unconscious, 3 to 5% is conscious. So the unconscious mind is running the show. And my unconscious mind was doing its job, trying to protect me and trying to move me forward in my life. But I had things that were there that weren't helping me. So by doing this kind of coaching and release work, it was addressing the conscious and the unconscious mind simultaneously. Um, was life changing, completely life changing.
And especially when, like, I guess this sort of thing is coming to the surface because, like you said, I mean, and I think society, even when we're growing up, it was very much, oh, okay, that happened. Let's just sweep that under the carpet. Or, like you said, we compartmentalize. It's like, okay, well, you seem good. We seem good. We've spoken about it. All right, we're cool. But it is amazing because at the end of the day, the body keeps the score. And it
Exactly.
really is incredible that we have got this subconscious mind that is absolutely running the show, and especially from childhood.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that is
Yeah.
the thing. Like, our inner child is really, because that's where our behaviors and our patterns and that are fully learned. So it's like bringing all of that sort of to the surface and really becoming in alignment with your whole self, including inner child stuff. Well, it's everything really.
Well, and if you think about it, our two main needs when we're babies, when we're very, very young, is connection and
Mm,
authenticity. And
yeah.
we will sacrifice authenticity to have connection because it's a matter of survival. We're dependent on our parents, our caregivers, and I mean, think about it. A baby starts to cry. What happens? The mom or the dad or the grandparents, shh, they're trying to hush the baby. The
Yeah.
baby learns early on that crying is not okay. Expressing themselves in that way is not okay. And so the baby learns to stop crying.
Yeah.
and we give up our voice literally from infanthood, because we need connection for our survival.
Yeah. I find it so fascinating. So, with this journey that you've been on,
Mhm.
like, can you explain even a bit more of now, like what you're doing and what you're bringing in, and talking a bit more about like the conscious and the unconscious or subconscious, like
Perfect.
how
Yeah.
it's all becoming interwoven, I guess, and how this can really help people.
Well, it's funny because everybody knew me as a musician, and then they'd say, "What are you doing this coaching thing?" And they didn't know. And then now I have, clients who go, "I didn't know you could play piano," because I sent one client a recording for their birthday of me playing Happy Birthday, and they're like, "You're really good." It's like, well, I hope so. But yeah, well, it's so when people ask me, what do I do? This is the best way to explain it. So every second, we get about 11 million bits of information coming at us through our senses, through our self talk. That's why self talk is really powerful. And think of a bit of information as a toothpick. If
Hmm.
every second 11 million toothpicks are going to be dumped on you, you're going to get buried really quick. So
Absolutely.
our unconscious mind does its job. This is the beauty of it. Our unconscious mind's first job is preserve the body at all costs. All costs, preserve the body. So after that, it's a lot about organizing information. So our unconscious mind, you were in that second, grabs a handful, about 34. And that handful, now the unconscious mind distorts, deletes, and generalizes the rest of it. We can actually access the rest of it if we're asked the right questions. But the unconscious mind takes the 34 and then puts it through all of your filters. Your filters are your childhood, your family, um, your your values, your spiritual beliefs, your education, socioeconomics, where you are geographically, all the things that are all these different aspects of our lives, relationships, the good things that have happened to us, the not so great things that have happened to us. The 34 bits of information goes through all of those filters, and now your unconscious mind creates your picture of the world in that second. So it creates your thoughts, your emotions, and from that come your actions. So this is why you could have an accident happen, like a fender bender, and you have maybe 12 people see it. You have 12 different stories of what happened because everybody has a different 34, a
Yeah.
different perspective. So when people say, "Well, what do you do, Holly, as a coach? How does this unconscious conscious thing all work?" Well, I clean filters.
I
So
like that.
I help people clean filters so that they can create a new picture of the world.
Yeah.
New thoughts, new emotions, new actions, from a more healed and whole place. And that's one of the best ways to explain it. I'm just a
Oh,
filter.
no, yeah, but I think that's a really great analogy because it is, and everybody is absolutely operating from their own space. And I always liken it to, it's like sometimes depending on where you are. Like I remember once sending a message to a girlfriend of mine whom I've known for a very long time,
Mm.
and I said about me going to pop over, and her response was great. Now, automatically, because I know at that particular point in time I was feeling pretty crappy within myself, I'm like, oh, does she mean great as in, oh, great? Or is she like, great? Like, And then I had but it was a good thing that it made me stop and pause because I know her so well. So I know she'd be excited to see me. But then it made me look and go, oh my goodness, Annie, why would you be thinking like that? Where is this coming from? Like sitting in that space, because that was then my own projection, my own thoughts of just coming from. And especially in something like text messages, it's your own stuff that comes through because it's just words on a screen, really.
Well, exactly. I mean, we have we create our definitions of words when we're like 0 to 6. That's where we create those definitions. What does it
Yeah.
mean to be happy, or what does it mean to be angry, or what does it mean to be sad? What does it mean to feel safe? You know, we create these definitions, and sometimes they're healthy, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're not. And if they're not healthy, we're perpetuating this definition that doesn't help us. I was working with a corporate team, and we were working on team values. And there was a moment in the group meeting, and we were all on Zoom. It was actually during COVID, and the CEO went, and I said, wait, tell me what that was. What was that? And she said, I just realized for as many people as we have on this call, we have that many definitions, different definitions of responsibility and ownership. And
Yeah.
she goes, now I understand why this was a problem, or this was a conflict, or why, you know, so it changed their understanding of it. And it was really exciting to align that team consciously and unconsciously. There's some really amazing techniques for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we create these definitions of what does it mean to be angry, and what does it mean to be sad. When I was growing up, there were emotions that were considered better than others. You know, we have the
Yeah.
bad emotions. Is, you know, to be angry, or to be upset, or to be, you know, these are, but the one thing that really changed my life when I got into coaching was to understand this is just information.
Yeah.
It's not about it being bad or good. In my house, when I was growing up, you know, albeit loving parents, a great home, all those things, it was much more acceptable to be sad than it was to be angry.
Yeah.
So and when I realized, as I was going through, especially going through training, because to coach, you have to sit successfully not only in the practitioner's seat, you have to sit successfully in the client's seat, and you got to show
Absolutely.
up prepared, being playing full out with these all of these techniques and exercises and things that you're learning. But it was such a, oh, wow, it changed everything when I realized this is just information. This is just like driving my car and the light on the dash comes up and says, "Oh, you need to get some gas," or "You need to check your tires," or maybe need to pull over now." You know, if we look at it as just information and there's something to learn from it, it really changes your perspective. It just
Yeah.
completely changes it.
It sure does. And I think this is one of the things too. This is where, and like you said it so well earlier, is asking yourself the right questions.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because,
Well, and
no,
yes, but
please go.
sometimes you don't even know what those questions
No,
are. And
true.
this is why I think when we were talking before, I was telling you one of my favorite metaphors for this is you've got a jar of peanut butter and you got a jar of jam, and peanut butter says, "I'm jam," and the jam looks at the jar of peanut butter and says, "You're peanut butter. What are you talking about?" And peanut butter goes, "No, no, no. I'm raspberry jam." And the jam's going, "You are nuts. No, no, you're peanut butter. You're peanut." Well, we're in the jar. We don't see the label. We don't have that outside perspective. So it's
True.
one of the places where I think coaching as a whole is very useful, because we're in it. We're in our stuff. We're in that jar, and we don't see it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm so fortunate, and I'm part of a number of different communities of coaches, and we support each other and we coach each other on a regular basis. And so to have that kind of accountability, and to sit in the client seat regularly and work on the things that are coming up for me, there are times where I'm going, I know it, I know it's there, and I know I can't see it. You know, it's like, ask me the next question, you know, let's get there. But you know, as long as I've been doing this, and just I still have to have somebody ask me the questions too. You can get pretty far, but sometimes there are, especially it's helpful to have somebody else ask the question.
Oh, absolutely. And because they're being like the jam and they're on the outside and you're literally like looking in. So it's,
Yeah.
it's so important to, yeah. And I often do that with my, with friends
Mhm.
and, fellow coaches and that too, and be like, okay, is it me? Like, am
Yeah.
I looking at this wrongly, or like what the hell is sort of is going on? But and then there are other times where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, Annie, you know what? I am not going to, I know it's not good for you to respond right now because you're tired and you're drained. And so, I think it's always important to look at the space that you're operating out of. So then it's, if I've got something that has agitated me, I'm very well aware of like, okay, all right, this has triggered me. What is it? Let's sort of work through this. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to respond when I know that I'm coming from a space of calmness and feeling better within myself and clarity. And I think that is something that I have definitely learned on my journey is
Mhm.
ascertaining exactly which space I'm operating out of as to whether what is my next choice of action.
Well, and it's often we are very unkind to ourselves, and
Yeah,
and
I'm being
it's a little homework I give to many of my clients is in that moment when things are not going well, um, imagine what you would do for a 5-year-old. You would help them maybe sit down in a quieter place. Maybe they need a snack. Maybe they need a nap. Maybe they just need a hug. Maybe they need to pet the cat, whatever it is. And we are so unkind, generally speaking, and so hard on ourselves. If and so I give that assignment of when you're in that moment, now nurture yourself, treat yourself as if you are that.
yeah.
What are you going to do to take care of that 5-year-old who just maybe just needs to lay down for a few minutes?
Just go and take a little nap, darling. So,
It's it is an interesting thing. I one of the things I really love about what I do is that, a lot of people will shy away from a lot of the things they'll hear about in coaching or techniques or hypnosis or whatever, and they think, oh, it's all kind of woo-woo and out there. But
yeah,
no, this is about neuroscience. This is the way our brain works. This is the way our body works. This is, you can, in that 3 to 5%, be telling yourself, I'm safe and everything's fine. And the 95% is going, no, you're not. And your body is going and having this huge reaction. And we're not taught to emotionally regulate and help our bodies process that emotion in a healthy way. I mean,
yeah,
when we're not processing, I guess what you would call negative emotion in a healthy way, it really starts a cascade effect. You can have a lot of symptomology. I mean, people have high blood pressure and heart issues, and all kinds of things can happen because the body is reacting. The unconscious mind is just trying to keep everybody safe and
yeah,
everybody okay, whatever it costs. And we're in the middle of it going, I don't even know what just happened.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like trying to control you've just dropped a bowl full of marbles and you've got marbles going everywhere. It's like trying to,
Yeah.
it's a
It's
huge job.
well, and the interesting thing is when we bring things up to the conscious level and we do something different with them, whether, there's all kinds of
Mm,
amazing techniques I use with the people I work with to bring alignment within themselves to everything is trauma informed. So we're doing things that actually resolve the trauma. The I was working with one client, and I was kind of a check-in. We'd had a really big session, and we had done a particular technique on something pretty big for him.
yeah,
And 2 weeks later, I'm talking to him. He's like, "Oh my gosh, everything's in alignment. Everything's happening. I got this happened. I met this person. I went to this event. I was listening to my intuition. All in business, personal, with his family, like everything. All of a sudden, just like kind of clicked into place." And then I asked him. I said, "Yes, I was going to ask you how you felt after our last session." And he stopped and he said, I was going to ask you about that. And he said, I know it was really important. I know it was a really big deal. I don't remember what it was.
Wow.
Yeah, and I said,
Wow.
that's right. Yes, you
Yeah.
don't remember because now it doesn't exist. You know, you resolve
Yeah.
things and when people are ready to do this kind of work, you can resolve all kinds of things. And honestly, people don't remember. They're like, we'll be in the middle of doing a release around something, really big and major, and maybe it's a limiting decision they've taken on as a kid or whatever. We'll be in the middle of it, and they'll tell me later. I said, I don't even remember what we were releasing. Right, that's right, because it's not there anymore. It's literally not there. So it's kind of interesting. It's like we stand at this moment in the present moment, and it's like a two-way mirror, and it
Yeah.
reflects to our past and it reflects to our future. And when we have resolution in these things that are in the past, now we're reflecting into a different future. You're creating a different future for yourself and a different present in the moment because the things that used to point you this way, actually, now you're pointing this way.
That's so cool. Where can people find you? How can they reach out to you if they want to book in and, have you coach them? How can they find you?
Well, the best way to find me is with my link tree, which is a link tree and just my name, Holly Lasky, and has kind of all the things, all my social media links. There's a right at the very top if you want to book a call and have a conversation and say, let's talk about this whatever you because everybody has something. It
Yeah.
was kind of one of my mentors said, everybody's definition of trauma is different, and something that
Mhm.
you think is really, really traumatic for somebody else it isn't.
Yeah.
And so it's really about respecting what each person comes with and creating a very safe space for people to release their most vulnerable judgments about themselves.
Yeah.
There was one client who his originating trauma was he peed in the pool when he was 4. And
Wow.
us as adults, we think, well, it's not a big deal. Kids are kids and stuff
Yeah.
happens. But this was the point where he created new definitions that in the end didn't serve him and caused his life to go down some really, really challenging, dark places. Once this got cleared up, it ripples out in every area of your life. And that's
Wow.
why this is so powerful and life changing.
And it really is interesting too, like what we hang on to. And it,
Yeah.
like you said, it's not until that sort of comes to the surface. And like I said, because some people are like, you were 4 years of age, you're a child. Like, I mean,
Right,
we've
right.
all done stuff, especially as children, that we can go, oh my gosh, like, don't even go there. But
Yeah.
it is, like you said, for something like that, as much as people may look at that and go, I don't understand how this has impacted you. But the thing is, it has impacted
Right.
you. So it's something, and you're exactly right. What impacts one person may not necessarily impact another person the same way, but each and every person has got something that has impacted them in such a way that has taken them down the pathways that
Yeah.
they have gone.
Yeah. And the fact that we can be empowered, that these incredible techniques and methods, I'm so fortunate to be, very highly trained, highly certified, highly mentored. I've been able to work with, so many people now, and to see real change happen and as quickly as
Mm,
we learn. I mean, when we're young and we touch something hot, in that instant we learned that was hot, that hurt, oh, I'm not going to do
yeah,
that again. We can unlearn that just as quickly. We can create something brand new in our lives, and it's not work harder. A lot of us, fall into that. Let's work a lot harder, and that also has its own path that doesn't help us in the end. There can be a lot of energy, and work ethic, of course, is really good, but sometimes we default to these things and we don't even know why.
yeah. And a lot of that can come back to too in like the family environment that you've grown up in. And
Absolutely.
And sometimes we're not even fully aware of those beliefs that we've even taken on for ourselves because
Right.
it's just becomes so ingrained. And because you're part of that family environment, you sort of think, well, that's how I grew up. That's quite normal. So it's not until you sort of had that opportunity to start unpacking stuff, do all of a sudden you go, oh, I didn't even realize that was such a thing.
Well, there is another thing that I found surprising was that, our unconscious mind is so incredible and so amazing and so very badass. We actually don't have to consciously remember something to
Wow.
to resolve it. So it
Oh,
could be,
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
so it could be, gosh, I have a sense that something happened. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
It's we can take care of that. My A very good colleague of mine has stretches in her childhood she still has no memory of. Her unconscious mind is
Wow.
doing its job, protecting her. She doesn't have to remember. She's done the release work around those places and is, and has transformed her life. You might recover some of the memories. You don't have to. And so that, I think that's one of the ways that what I do is so different, because while I think conventional therapy has its place, and I often work with people who are
Yeah.
also going to therapists at the same time, this isn't about just talking about it over and over and over. This is about, what are the negative thoughts? What are the negative emotions? When you think about this, what does it do for you? What does that make you feel? What do you take it to mean about yourself? You start
Yeah.
asking those questions and getting deep under whatever the unconscious thing is. And then you know what to do the release work around. Yeah.
This is so cool. I find all of this absolutely so fascinating. And I just honestly, I love speaking with you. I really do. Because it truly is. I find it just incredibly, I find it interesting, but I also just love the fact that there are so many different tools out there that people can utilize, that people can absolutely help them learn and grow and literally change their pathways. And I think that's just incredible that you have all of this amazing skill set that you're able to bring that to the table to your clients and to truly help them.
Well, and I'm not the person I was before. I mean, my life has been transformed, and I've used all these tools to deal with the ups and downs in my own personal life. My husband has been through multiple catastrophic illnesses, and he's actually in a very long-term recovery right now from two severe strokes. And people ask, it's like, well, what was easier, when the first things happen, or this happened, or the it's like, now, what's easier, what's harder? Now it's actually harder, but I have better tools. I'm in a better
Yeah.
place as far as that goes. And ironically, there is a way to completely energetically detach from your worst case scenario in the future.
Wow, that's
And
cool.
yeah, it is, and I was able to do that. A colleague of mine, we worked on this release together, and of course, you practice on each other. And I think it was just striking, because I thought, gosh, I didn't realize how afraid I was of this thing in my future that hadn't happened. And when we say we don't want something, our unconscious mind does not hear the negative. We actually point ourselves towards that, even though
Yeah.
we don't want it. So it's like, how you say it is so important. But it was really interesting. I've done that release twice now. And my worst case scenario, it's like, think about 10 years in the future, everybody's alive, nobody died. Worst case scenario, we all have one. My worst case scenario evolved. And ironically, at this point in time, I'm actually living in a very evolved version of my worst case scenario. The difference is, I'm not afraid of it. I
Yeah.
have great tools, I have great support, and I know that all of these things are not being done to me, these are for me. And I'm creating a very different future for myself in spite of dealing with the things that happen in life. We all have that. Andy Andrews says, if you're not in a crisis, you've just come out of one or you're about to be in one. And we have these ups and downs. I think so much of this is learning kind of to surf the waves, if you will. Because if we
Yeah,
can surf the waves, then we can navigate these ups and downs in a much healthier way. And knowing that we're not at the mercy of these unconscious patterns and things running. We can actually do something very, very life changing about it. And as quickly as they were put in place, you can change them.
exactly. And you know what? People can do that because they have access to people like yourself who really focus and work on that. And and of course there are other coaches in the community exactly who do that. But with the work that you do, and especially let me get my words out, especially with the whole unconscious conscious mind and really peeling that back, I think it's just an incredible thing. And I, like I said before, I find all of that incredibly fascinating. I really do. So yeah, thank you so much for being with us today. And what I will do for all of our listeners too is I'll make sure that I put in all of your links so people can link to you, they can find you, and they can reach out to you. And honestly, I truly hope that everybody listening today just know, you know what? You're not broken, you're not stuck. Holly can absolutely help you clear whatever it is that needs to be clear, even if it's the stuff that you feel is just not even that important. Because if it's still sitting there, then it clearly is something that truly needs to be worked on. So,
Absolutely. Oh,
yeah.
thank you. I've enjoyed our conversations getting ready for today, and of course today, and it's such a pleasure and such a privilege. I love talking about what I do because I'm so passionate about helping people be empowered in their lives. And the like I say, I've turned into a neuroscience geek and love all the ways and why all these things work. But the end of the day is they work, and for the people who are ready to change, I'm here.
Absolutely. I love that. And that's exactly it. It's about getting yourself to the space to go, you know what, I need to look at helping me or to help change me because for whatever reasons things happen. And you know what, we're all human. It happens to every single one of us. So, and I always look and I think, look, if I can take the time out to heal and to change me, and I'm still learning and growing, it's a life learning journey, then I think each and every one of us can absolutely do it. So yeah, yeah. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you so much, Holly. I appreciate it. So, to each and every one of you, wherever you are on your healing journey, just remember that healing begins the moment that you choose yourself. So, until next time, just look beyond the clouds. The sun is rising. Please take care of you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next session. Thank you once again for listening and watching. Rise up and heal. Much love, Annie and Holly. Thank you once again.